Okay, in this clip, we have Joe Rogan reacting to Andrew Tate's arrest.
What do you think of all his stuff?
I don't know what's happening, right? Like, what really happened, and why is Romania going after him? Are they being pressured by someone else to do this? Like, what is the reason why they're doing it, and what do they have on him? I don't know.
Yeah, well, that to me is the right answer. Nobody knows. A lot of people are acting like they know. If you go read it,
well, they want him,
which is crazy.
They want him to go down, and they want him. He represents something. He represents toxic masculinity.
Well, he says crazy stuff.
They seize his car collection as investigation continues.
The one thing I don't get about this, well, I do get. I understand. People are actually like want the charges to be true, which is crazy because that would mean a lot of bad shit to happen to a lot of bad people.
Yeah, I would rather the charges be incorrect. You know, look. Romania, I don't know what their system is like. I don't know whether they're corrupt.
Okay, so Joe is talking about the corruption with the authorities in Romania. Recently, Andrew Tate's lawyer has spoken out about the Tate brothers' arrest in Romania. I'll play the clip for you now.
Here, what do you expect to happen next? Do you expect another plea for an extension, or do you expect things to come to a head pretty soon?
So we're going to find out in the next several days. The existing detention order expires on February 27th. And if the prosecution intends to extend that for another 30-day period, they'll have to make that request soon, and then we'll have a hearing on it. Obviously, our hope is that at this point they are released and that it's not extended. But am I optimistic about that? No. And I think an additional factor that weighs in is the tremendous amount of assets that have been seized. So almost $4 million worth of assets were seized from their residence. And unfortunately, that gives the authorities incentive to search and find evidence of some wrongdoing to be able to forfeit and keep assets of that nature. I think the seizure, let's keep in mind, when the police raided their properties and searched them and seized all these items, they didn't find evidence of crime. You know, they've taken these items in the event that they are able to later on show that they're...
Well, they say they're ongoing. They say the investigation is ongoing and the assets, some of the assets...
I've heard things, but I don't have any real information. So I'd be talking out of my ass to say, you know, if he really did, like, sex traffic people, if he really did all the things he's saying, well, I hope that gets proven in court, and I hope he gets punished if he really did that. If he didn't do that, I hope he gets exonerated, and I hope he gets the fuck out of Romania.
They say the investigation is ongoing, and the assets, some of the assets they've taken are part of that investigation.
Of course, but this isn't a situation where police seized things that are illegal on their face. They didn't, you know, seize contraband, drugs. You know, a lot of times when there are these raids, things are taken which are evidence of crime. In this case, there was no evidence of crime that was seized. These are assets that they're holding on to in the event that they can later prove that these are proceeds of ill-gotten gains. And again, at this point, there are not charges filed against them. And the fact that they have $4 million in assets, it gives them further incentive to detain them and continue to search for some crime so that they could try to forfeit, you know, those sizable assets.
In one of the hearings where they attempted to end the detention, the judge that refused that request said, and I quote, one of the reasons given was the particular, and I quote, the particular dangerousness of the defendants and their capacity to identify victims with an increased vulnerability in search of better life opportunities. That folds into the allegations of people trafficking. Are you satisfied as his lawyer that if this comes to court, you have enough evidence to counter that claim?
We do. We don't. First of all, it's a little difficult because I'm not supposed to comment directly on anything that's happening in the proceedings. As of now, they're closed proceedings.
But without detail, you're satisfied you have enough evidence to counter that?
I do. I don't think there's been any evidence that they're a danger to the community in terms of committing crimes. Again, I think at this point, they haven't been charged with crimes.
I don't know. I don't know what he did. I know a lot of what he does is theater, right? A lot of what he does is very like satire. He plays the role of this boastful misogynist who smokes cigars and drives Lamborghinis, and that's his thing. And because of that, he's amassed an amazing amount of money. And he's done it by doing this character, this online persona, but then also says very wise things.
you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Yeah. Then why the fuck are you spending time with negative people? Or people who complain? Or unhappy people? Or unlucky people? Or negative people? Stop talking to them. Everyone I talk to is like, yep, we are winners. All we do is fucking win.
He says ridiculous shit, but also says really interesting things. He's a very smart guy. If you listen to him being interviewed by Patrick Bet-David. Patrick Bet-David interviewed him after he got canceled off of all social media. And Patrick is fantastic. He's really good at letting people talk and talking to everybody. And Patrick is so wealthy and so successful outside of the world of podcasting that he only does it because he's interested in it. And so he's the perfect guy to handle that because he is not afraid of to talk to anybody. He'll talk to anybody. And so he had him on for a long-form conversation. They talked for hours, and you get to see this is a very intelligent and calculated guy. You might not agree with his message. You might not agree with all the misogynist stuff. You might not agree with, and I don't agree with it.
I'm not a misogynist on any level. This is one of those buzzwords they just throw at people randomly. Homophobic, racist, misogynist, they just throw it out at people.
What is your view of women?
I'm a realist.
What is your real view of women?
I absolutely not only love women. I adore women. I have good relationships with women. Not a single woman has come up to me on the street since I've been canceled. Not a single one has said anything negative. Every single one of them has said positive things. You're a traditional male. I wish more men were like you. You understand your masculine roles. You understand what you're supposed to do. You understand you're supposed to protect women. You're exactly the kind of man I'd be looking for. I've never had a negative interaction with a female ever since I've been dubbed the biggest misogynist in the world. Please let me finish. I'm sorry, Piers. Also, there's not been a single woman who's accused me of a crime, not a single woman who's accused me of rape, not a single woman who's come out and said anything from my entire past of 36 years I've done anything wrong ever. Anybody else with my level of fame, any footballer, any other movie star, at least has people who've come out and accused them of rape, X, Y, Z. I have no woman who's come out and ever said I've hurt her, no woman who's come out and ever said I've done damage to her or been horrible to her. Everybody who ever interacted with me has said I've been a nice person. All of them. So this random Twitter nobody who seems to know so much is full of...
All right, you've responded to her.
You might not agree with all the crazy antics, but you cannot deny that that's been incredibly successful because it resonates with a lot of young men who don't feel represented in the media. And they see this guy and it looks like fun. Do they agree with what he's saying? That doesn't mean they agree with it. They think it's fun. It's like pro wrestling. He's like a bad guy in pro wrestling. He's a heel. He's smoking cigars with his Lamborghinis and...
See, that's where I go. I think there's probably a lot of people think that, and then I think there's probably other people who take it seriously, which is where it's a super...
Yes, that is where it gets fucked up.
Thank you for watching, and please like and subscribe.